Texas becomes the real Handmaid's Tale as record number of LGBTQ plus books are banned. Watch this.
This morning, Texas schools are at the center of a national fight over banned books. An NBC News investigation finding that at least a dozen Texas districts have removed books about race, gender, and sexuality after a surge of parent complaints.
Why are we sexualizing our precious children?
Since the fall, Iris Chang, a junior at Katy Independent School District who identifies as queer, has watched books vanish from her school library.
What do you think these parents want? To keep their children in this protected bubble in which the only opinions they really hear are the ones that they themselves represent.
Records requests to nearly 100 Texas districts found that during the first 4 months of this school year, parents made at least 75 formal complaints, compared to only one filed during the same period last year. Texas Governor Greg Abbott even calling for criminal charges against staff who provide kids with pornographic books. It's part of a national pattern of parents and school officials banning books at an unprecedented rate. One Tennessee district just last week banning Mouse, a Pulitzer Prize-winning graphic novel about the Holocaust. George M. Johnson's memoir, All Boys Aren't Blue, is one of the books banned in Katy and elsewhere. It's about a queer black child that at one point details sexual abuse.
What's it like to see this fight now play out on a national stage?
To kind of wake up every day and see that more and more people within the country who have power are trying to deny kids who were like me access to my story is heartbreaking.
Katy schools declined NBC News' requests for comment. Katy parent Mary Ellen Cuzella was inspired to fight for book removals after watching parents fight over books during the Virginia governor's race.
What we're talking about is vulgarity that is inappropriate for any child.
Iris, a member of her school's speech and debate team, is no stranger to speaking out. Lately, she doubts the adults are listening.
It sends this message to myself and my peers that our opinions aren't valued.
Many of the books under fire are newer titles purchased by school librarians in recent years as part of an effort to diversify content available in public schools. In Texas, a group of librarians are now pushing back, trying to keep those books on the shelves. They've created a hashtag FREAD Freedom campaign to share stories and support each other across the state. Willie?
All right, Antonia, thank you very much.
So Queer News Tonight would like to point out that one book likely was missed in the bans. It's a very important book. You might find it in a lot of nightstands at most hotel rooms. It contains support of homosexual relationships as a protagonist heals a same-sex concubine in Luke 7, 1-10. A cheating wife reminiscing about her well-hung lovers, that's in Ezekiel 23, verse 20. And enough rape and murder to fill, well, a freaking Bible.
That's true. Well, between the book banning in Texas and then the book burning in Tennessee recently, it's a very frightening time, and Art Spiegelman, who's the creator of Mouse, actually said this is the beginning of a very bad time.
Yeah, it's called Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, well, right.
Yeah, and it's very easy to revert and say, oh, this is Nazi and stuff like that. That is wrong and very insulting. This is a very American thing that's going on. We've banned books, back in, before and probably after, but before the Civil War, papers in the South were not allowed to or firebomb and burn down if they printed anything that wasn't pro-slavery. They've tried to ban Darwinism in Tennessee back in the 20s. And then there was another big push in the 50s on the heels of World War II. So no, this is a very American thing to do.
I'm curious, Julio, you're an educator. How does this story wash over you of what we're watching around the country, but very specifically what's happening in Texas?
So, my first reaction to this is what everyone has said. I echo all the fear and the concern and the anxiety, but I will just kind of, to put a glimmer of hope in this story, and particularly this case in Texas, was that student who was fighting back and was really outspoken. There's something really inspiring to see those who are being stripped of their experience and their voices being so outspoken, and I feel like it gives me a great deal of strength and hope that we can do this collectively. We can fight these advances collectively because the young people are leading the way, and I feel very, very safe in that.
Before we move on, I just want to make the quick note. I was surprised to learn how much commonality there is in 1939 Berlin and 2022 Houston. They seem to be the same place first. The vulgarity, that parent talks about how motivated she was of the vulgarity of the words in books. You better be very, very careful in what you're saying, because whoever is in power, who makes these decisions? And the moment you're no longer in power, somebody else is going to decide what is vulgar and not. That's the whole point of a constitutional First Amendment of free speech and protection. And this story is so disturbing. The reference to Handmaid's Tale is so disturbing because this entire process of removing books is antithetical to democracy, antithetical to our Jeffersonian democratic process in America. It's a dangerous trend that we are watching, and dangerous for LGBT for sure.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus